WWE, their first show in Japan has occurred and people are scared. Some Japanese Puroresu wrestling fans are very upset about this WWE Abema thing and what it means for Japanese pro wrestling. And some people are writing think pieces on this and they're very, very upset. I don't know why, but let's try to make sense of it. So, on September 28th, it was announced that WWE had agreed to a media rights deal with Abema TV in Japan. It says WWE announced, this is from Yahoo. WWE announced a new media rights partnership between themselves and Abema. Through this agreement, WWE's flagship programming will air exclusively on Abema platforms in Japan beginning October 2023. Per WWE's press release, Raw and SmackDown will broadcast free of charge and be accompanied by Japanese commentary. Then it says that the beginnings were Tuesday, October the 3rd. So that means the recording of this video, which is what got my attention, is how people responded to Raw and watching Raw, I'm about to say SmackDown, but watching Raw live in Japan. It says WWE also noted that NXT program will be available on Watch on Demand, so it will not be live, it will be on demand. Going forward, all WWE premium live events will be broadcast live on Abema as well, including the upcoming Fastlane. The entire collection of WrestleMania events will also be released on demand via Abema video beginning October the 1st. It says, in addition to bringing Raw and SmackDown on board, Abema is also airing a special broadcast related to WWE streaming in Japan. WWE Hall of Famer Keiji Muto, the Great Muta, later revealed himself as, in quote, Abema Pro Wrestling Ambassador. Therefore, he will be in attendance for this broadcast, which is slated to air on Friday, September 29th in Japan. People have been very upset with the Great Muta for his involvement in WWE and Abema. Now, what is Abema? Now, for the first time in the history of this channel, believe it or not, I'm going to use Wikipedia. I hate using Wikipedia, I really do. But I can't, there's no other way for me to look at this because it's all in Japanese. So it says, Abema is Japanese free ad-supported streaming television. The service was first launched on April 11th, 2016 under the name Abema TV. It primarily functions as an online television network featuring multiple channels, including news, sports, entertainment, anime, and more. Most channels, can be watched for free, with the option to become a premium member to view past programs on demand. So it's owned by Cyber Agent and TV Asahi, at least I think, or the Asahi. Now that's the interesting bit. Cyber Agent is the owner of Pro Wrestling Noah, the pro wrestling organization I think it's the third string pro wrestling organization in Japan. I don't know if it's second or third. I don't know about all Japan. So, and TV Asahi is what airs New Japan Pro Wrestling. So, Abema TV is owned by two companies who do business with other Japanese pro wrestling promotions. So that has gotten people freaking out. For starters, they think that Pro Wrestling Noah, for some reason, is going to get polluted with WWE stuff, and there's going to be crossovers and all this kind of crap. Not necessarily true in any way, but that's what they believe. But a guy named Hori Gantz, who is a freelance writer and editor for professional wrestling in Japan, he writes in Japanese on Twitter. He explained the major reality about this whole thing. And he wrote, quote, Abema's WWE broadcast will finally start tonight at 8 p.m. This is a true black ship attack for the Japanese professional wrestling world. All you need is a smartphone and you can watch Raw and SmackDown every week. This means that professional wrestling, which has the easiest viewing environment in Japan, has become WWE. He continues, if this happens, there is a high possibility that many new fans will come to the same understanding as many other countries that, quote, professional wrestling equals WWE. Japan's unique professional wrestling, which has continued to develop for 70 years, may virtually disappear, just like the traditional professional wrestling in Europe. Then he continues, Jesus Christ, how will the Japanese professional wrestling world, especially New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is #1 in the industry, react to the black ship of WWE and Abema? The Japanese professional wrestling world has reached a major turning point. In other words, we are in an extremely interesting era. So, this guy is predicting doom and gloom for Japanese pro wrestling just because WWE is going to be on a beat. Look, here's the thing. Was Japan in any way destroyed because they have McDonald's? No, it didn't. When they get American stuff, it doesn't destroy Japanese culture. Japanese pro wrestling is not going to be affected by WWE. All right. It's not going to be affected that much. Let's say it's going to have some effect. It just you can't do it any other way, but it's literally just an addition to what they already like. It's so different that it can't really replace it. The crazy thing is this guy used the term black ships, which apparently in Japan is sort of code for colonialism, where foreigners came over on black ships to infiltrate Japan. And this is ridiculous because WWE has done shows in Japan before. They've already had presence in Japan. Vince McMahon used to work with Japanese pro wrestling companies in the 80s. And hell, his father did in the 70s. Antonio Inoki has used to, work in the WWF all the time. This is not like the WWF is some new thing to the Japanese audience. It's so overblown. It's so doom and gloom. It's so brain dead. And I'm floored by it, if we're being honest. It's like, again, cultural, you know what? It literally reminds me of a conversation I was literally having about 2 days ago. I don't know when you're listening to this, but I think over the weekend of October the 1st, I started having a conversation on Twitter with some people, and it was actually about anime, believe it or not. And here's what it is. So there was a cartoon, it was a magazine called Cracked. All right. Now, Cracked is a sort of Mad TV style magazine, and they posted in I think the early 2000s, or maybe it was the late 90s or something like that, a mock battle between Japanese anime and American cartoons. If I remember, I will put it on the screen. If I don't, just remind me in the comment section below, and I'll put it in the Discord or in the community section. Basically, it has Astro Boy, Pikachu, Goku, Gundams, etc. invading American cartoons and taking over and making all the children watch Japanese cartoons. Because at the time, all this stuff was very popular. Dragon Ball was incredibly popular in the United States. And so was Pokemon. And so basically, you had Bugs Bunny, Fred Flintstone, Scooby-Doo, The Simpsons, the Rugrats, all these people, and they all being led by Dexter's Laboratory in this battle against Japanese anime. And they end up winning the battle with Homer Simpson riding an H-bomb. Yes, they went to the nuke. And American superheroes, Batman, Superman, Popeye, Mighty Mouse, etc., are riding themselves to victory. So they played up like the Japanese were invading the United States via the cartoons. And we need to fight back with our own heroes, Superman, Batman, etc., and beat the Japanese into submission, or we're going to have to bomb them. So, very bizarre stuff. Like, they can't coexist. Look, I get it. If you watched enough of these culture war guys, you know that manga has taken over the comic book industry. That people, when they choose to read visual mediums, they choose in more manga than comic books. A lot of this stuff is because of price and variety and a lot of different other things. So it is what it is on that. But this stuff's been going on for a long time. That's not even the first cartoon of its kind. There's been cartoons before with a similar bent with like Speed Racer and stuff like that. And it's very bizarre how people think that there can never be any cultural crossover without there being some kind of pollution or invasion or colonialism or whatever the fuck. You don't have to be that dramatic. I swear to God, you don't have to be that dramatic. You know, there's a lot of stuff that becomes popular in the United States that is traditionally Japanese. Like, we really like video games. A lot of them are Japanese. They're based off of Japanese, you know, historical elements, ninjas, samurai, or it's fantasy stuff that we really get into. You know, a lot of the stuff that was created in Europe, Japan took it, like Vampire Hunter D or Hellsing or whatever, something like that. These things are not naturally Japanese. This stuff is from Eastern Europe, and they took it and they changed it and made their own thing out of it. And then Americans were like, oh, we like this. This is good. You know, we like your version of what you do. You know, we like the Japanese stuff. WWE is not threatened by New Japan being on American television. So why is the Japanese overreacting to the WWE having a television presence in Japan? It is just wrestling fans who think that the territory days or the closed market is the best way to go. It's not. I promise you it's not. You get better product when you open the market up. I mean, people said this all the time. When AEW came around, people started saying, hey, you know, it's good for the business. You know, more companies, it's good for the business. But when it's WWE that's coming into your country or into your territory, well, it's all of a sudden it's not good for the business. We have to think about the cultural element. Oh no, what about the culture? It's like, how many? It's one company. Like, again, there's Walmarts all over the world. There's McDonald's all over the world. People tailor make that stuff to the things that they like. It's that simple. You know, the fear of NXT Mexico or NXT Japan or whatever the case may be, it's going to be just like a McDonald's. They're going to take the name, the logo, and they're going to do their own thing with it. It's going to be more traditionally whatever their culture is, whatever their culture prefers, they're going to mold it into that. Now, they can't do that with, you know, live Raw and SmackDown. I mean, it is what it is on that tip. But over time, it's going to have an effect of, if they do decide to build a base there, a performance center or something like that, it's going to be WWE, but it's going to be Japanese. Just like the McDonald's. It's American, but it's also Japanese. It is that cultural fusion that we have had between America and Japan for a long time. Why people are freaking out is because wrestling fans don't understand that things can coexist. It's not that you have to build walls. You know, if WWE is not the best in the world and you don't care for it, then it'll die on the vine. Abema is wasting their money at that point. So what? Because if New Japan gets a deal with ABC TV and they're going to have Wrestle Kingdom live on ABC, which is broadcast television in the United States, I'll watch it. Absolutely, I'll watch it. Especially if it's live. Well, not if it's live, because it's going to be like 4 a.m. But if it's, you know, on a decent tape delay, I'll watch it. It won't stop me from watching Raw or SmackDown, because it hasn't stopped me from watching Raw or SmackDown yet. The issue that they have is they are afraid that the show will become popular, and then people will have, he literally said it in his first tweet, professional wrestling equals WWE. You're just scared that they're going to be successful. Why? If you are secure in your style of wrestling, if strong style is the best style, if King's Road is the best, then WWE's existence, which it has existed for over 40 years, won't change it at one bit. The fact of you being insecure shows that you don't think it's the best. You're worried that other people will look at what you do and say, yeah, we don't like that anymore. Or that was fun for a time, but now we're moving on. It's the same thing that we get over here. You know, we get that over here with people who, you know, still hang on to Spider-Man and Batman and, They cringe at the Dragon Ball stuff, or they are like, I don't like all that Jujutsu Kaisen or the Naruto. I'm not with that, all that. And that's fine. It's not going to stop people who like it from liking it, and it doesn't stop people who like both from liking both. There's going to be a loud, ignorant minority of people. Most people will either ignore it or they'll enjoy both. And I think the Japanese having an option of watching Raw and SmackDown and pay-per-views and watching it within a reasonable time frame is good for the market. It's good for the fans of WWE in Japan. If they make a few more, then great. But saying that we should inconvenience WWE fans to protect the cultural look, and the Japanese they're this way, They're go home or white to pickle and all that kind of stuff. I know about Japan, trust me. I've heard it's been under wraps for a long time how racist the Japanese are and that kind of stuff. But, it's because they have a very tight culture. Even after all of the cultural enrichment that we've had between the two of them, between the two countries, there's still some very closed-minded traditional Japanese folks. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I have a little bit of that myself. At the same time, though, you don't get to make decisions for other people. If Abema wants to have WWE programming, if it dies, it dies. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You're scared that it will work. And that's just pathetic. And I feel bad for somebody who's really going to say, because look, it's better for the wrestlers too. The wrestlers may see WWE as an option where they might not have seen it as an option before. They can make more money and travel the world, learn new skills, learn a different way of doing business. And we have been doing this for decades already. Japanese video game producers come to the United States, learn stuff, and then go back. They read our novels. You read our comic books. How is this any different? You eat Big Macs. How is this any different? I know nobody who speaks Japanese or has any sort of tight understanding of Japanese culture is going to listen to this, but I really want to know, how is this going to be any different? You already share tons of culture. We just got a Spider-Man manga from Japan not too long ago. There's manga, anime versions of the X-Men. It didn't kill the X-Men, and it didn't kill Japan. It didn't stop their manga industry that somebody decided they wanted to spend time drawing Spider-Man. So why the fuck would they care that much about Raw and SmackDown that they will stop watching New Japan? If they are wrestling fans and they like New Japan, they'll watch both. Ridiculous stuff. It's ridiculous stuff. But let me know what you guys think. Is WWE colonizing Japan? Are they going to put a flag in Japan and they're going to make them all worship white Jesus? Is that what they're going to do? I don't know. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you guys later.
MagMongoSlade. Best house I ever drew, Daddy.